I will be analyzing Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. I will be looking at the ride layout, media trends, and my overall thoughts about this ride. This ride looks amazing.
I'm OG, y'all new to the game.
Sup coaster fans, welcome back to another analysis video. If this is your first time here and you love roller coasters, then consider subscribing for some various roller coaster content. Since this coaster was so popular, there were a lot of media trends, but I will talk about them later. Now first of all, I really like the shape of this ride's lift hill. It has that sort of Fury 3-5 shape, and it's beautiful. So Steel Vengeance is an RMC conversion of Mean Streak, a Dinwiddie, with a max height of 205 feet, making it the tallest hybrid coaster and also the world's first hyper-hybrid coaster. It has a drop height of 200 feet, making it the longest drop on a hybrid coaster. I mean, this thing breaks 15 records. And of course, that is a 90-degree drop, making it the steepest hybrid coaster. It has a maximum speed of 74 miles per hour, making it the fastest hybrid coaster, 1 mile per hour faster than Lightning Rod, which I thought was pretty funny. It has a track length of 5,740 feet, making it the longest hybrid coaster in track length, not duration. Twisted Colossus still holds that record, I think. It has the most airtime on a hybrid coaster at 27 seconds, which is actually the most on any coaster. Beating out Voyage at Holiday World. It has the most inversions on a hybrid coaster, 4, 2 0G rolls, a twisted snake dive, and the first inversion I'll talk about later. Before they announced this coaster, I was thinking Twisted Timbers would take the record of most inversions. But it's still good without that fourth inversion. You thought Valraven broke a lot of records? This breaks 10 coaster records and 5 park records. The stats are very impressive for this coaster, but the ones that stand out the most are the 27 seconds of airtime and world's first hyper-hybrid coaster. There hasn't been a lot of reviews yet, but the reviews so far are all positive. There was not one person yet who has ridden Steel Vengeance and say it is overrated. So let's get into the layout and get full in depth with it. By the way, this Planet Coaster layout wasn't made by me. It was in a Steel Vengeance update. So first you exit out of the station and go through 2 bunny hops. Then go up your steep 205-foot lift hill. I believe a lot of people are saying this lift hill is the loudest lift hill, and I can believe that. Then drop down 90 degrees straight down. This is probably one of the best drops in America in my opinion. Then you go through the fastest airtime hill on a hybrid coaster, a record that I forgot, at 73 miles per hour, which I think that record is stupid. Then you go through this gigantic top hat-like element. This will give you loads of ejector airtime. Then you plunge down behind the mid-course brake run, and then go through this outer bank turn. Wow, this element looks insane, and probably one of the best parts of the ride. Then you go through this step up into your first inversion. Now, everyone's saying that this is just a plain old 0G roll, but if you notice, the end of the inversion is not the lowest part. It is actually the highest part of the inversion. So I think this is a step-up underflip, like what's found on Joker. Then you go through the structure and do a 90-degree bank turn, which will give you some pretty good laterals. Then go through this half stall, or as many people call it, a twisted snake dive. I don't know if this fully flips you upside down, but it doesn't seem like it does. This stall is kind of like a reverse Wicked Cyclone stall. Then go through a step down and step up into the mid-course brake run. The mid-course brake run doesn't seem like it slows you down a lot, but it might just be for the POV though. Then you go through this lateral turn, and in the rider cams, which by the way, there are like a million of those on YouTube, it looks like it's jerky, but I'll see once I ride it. Then you drop down, and again, it gives you fantastic airtime, and then go through this double up. I think this double up is just a tiny bit spread out, but hopefully it will still give you ejector. Then you go through this twisted airtime hill, which goes through the structure. Then in the structure, you'll go through what looks like a very whippy overbank turn, and then go through your third inversion, a 0G roll. Then you go through 2, I'm assuming, ejector hills, and then go through what I think is the most overlooked element in this ride, this wave turn inside the structure. This wave turn is insane. Then you go through your fourth inversion, another 0G roll, and then an overbank turn. Seems like it'll give you some laterals. Then you go through 6 airtime moments back to back, lean into the brakes. This is a great way to end the ride, and the first hill is an off-axis hill, so that's pretty cool too. This is also the part where some people say it quote-unquote tries to kill you, and that's saying something. Now, overall, this is a great decision for Cedar Point to make, because Mean Streak was this coaster that had so much potential. Also, Cedar Point doesn't have a ride that focuses on ejector airtime back-to-back like Steel Vengeance. The coasters close to it are maybe Blue Streak or Magnum XL200. There are rides at Cedar Point that feature maybe like 1 or 2 airtime moments, but on some of those coasters, they seem pretty pointless, like on Valraven and Gatekeeper. So it's good that Cedar Point made this the most airtime on any coaster. On Twisted Timbers' POV, it did seem to run sluggish, but on this, it hauls all the way. Some people make comparisons, and it just about lines up with the animation. There could potentially be trim brakes, which I'll talk about that later. They could also slow down the mid-course brake run too. Now, since there is a Planet Coaster recreation of Steel Vengeance, which is very accurate, that gives us the advantage of looking at the G-forces of this ride. I can conclude that most of the positive G-forces are over 3 Gs and under 4. So I wouldn't say it's exactly the most intense in terms of positive G-forces, but it doesn't have to. Maverick is right next to it. A good thing is that most of the negative G-forces on this ride are over -1, meaning most of the hills will give ejector airtime. I didn't really pay attention to the lateral Gs, but I'm assuming they're on the overbank turns. So let's talk about the media trends. There was a First Riders event held at Cedar Point. That's where the hashtag "This Fork is for Steel Vengeance" thing came from. There was also the trend that this ride will have pacing issues. No, I do not think this ride has pacing issues by any means. In case you haven't seen my top 25 coasters in the world list, which by the way, it's a very controversial list, I put Steel Vengeance at number 1, and that was with just the animation. And I still stand by that. Even with the real POVs and rider cams out there, I still think this coaster is the best coaster in the world. Will it win the Golden Ticket Awards? Maybe. Will it be everyone's number 1 coaster? No. If it's not anyone's, then it should at least place in their top 15 in their rankings. Keep in mind, I haven't found out yet what I like or want in a coaster. What would you want in an RMC coaster? Airtime, overbanks, wave turns, 0G stalls, 0G rolls, off-axis hills, double up. I only showed footage of Steel Vengeance, which means that Steel Vengeance has all of it. It has everything that you want in an RMC. The only thing I would think of that it doesn't have is a cutback, but I don't know if people really want that in an RMC. Some people have been thinking about, what if this ride will get trimmed? Well, if they put trim brakes on this ride, well, Cedar Point marketed this ride as the tallest, fastest, and wildest of its kind. So if they put trim brakes on it, it won't be very wild anymore. So that's my analysis of Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. And remember, if this is your first time here and you love roller coasters, then consider subscribing for some various roller coaster content. This is 808 Coaster Life, and I'll see you all next time.